Maybe let's begin by perhaps allowing you the opportunity to lay out the case of what you found out and the key measures that you considered in this.
Thank you very much.
Because it does sound dramatic, doesn't it?
Well, I think it does sound dramatic, but the point is that we're not particularly focused on South Africa. The findings are part of a product, a database that we've built, the purpose of which is to compare over the long term performance of all the countries in the world, so that we can actually start better doing country development, country growth strategies.
Right.
And we can also better advise corporates or investors who want to be able to pick and choose where they invest.
Yeah.
And they need some objective, quantitatively sound measures of performance.
Yeah.
And our theory is that country risk or country performance is really state risk and state performance. And so we very much focus on the capacity of the state to deliver, to perform certain public goods.
Yeah.
And the fragile state index, particular measure which is referred to in the particular study, which is not our work, which is the work of an institution that does that. But we take all those data points and we combine them and we analyze the trends and we compare the.
You make them make sense.
We make them make sense, and we have created an application that has something like 30,000 indicators.
Right.
And covers from 1960 to now and forecast to 5 years forward.
Okay.
And what we try to do is understand, well, what makes a country, a society, sustainable, perform better than others.
Right.
And looking at South Africa, where we've done quite a lot of work for clients, we found that astounding data point, this extraordinary decline in a series of indicators that tell us that, you know, what we know is happening, what we live daily, is true and profound and structural and serious.
I think what you've done is to quantify it, because I think most of us, we speak about the decline during the Zuma years without actually quantifying what it is. So give me those measures.
Okay, so one is obviously the ranking of South Africa in the Fragile State Index.
Right.
And what we see there is that in 2006, South Africa was actually ranked really well when you think about other attributes of the country, such as inequality, poverty, you know, the structural legacy of apartheid, etc. And so it was trending better than average, okay? But what happened, it kind of peaked around 2006, 2007.
Yeah.
And then the decline started and has accelerated since then. So right now, South Africa is not in a terribly bad neighborhood of countries, but it's the speed and the direction of the decline, which tells us that unless things change profoundly, and I think particularly around the capacity, the legitimacy, the action of the state, the ability of the state, and I'm not talking about just government, you know, I'm talking about the entirety of what makes a commonwealth, if you want, of people. We need to arrest that decline. And if we don't, then in 5 years' time, 10 years' time, we will be, you know, considered to be not just a fragile state, but possibly worse than that.
Absolutely, because you look what? You look at security, you look at governance, you look at prosperity, and the welfare indicators. Right. Just give me a sense of the welfare indicators.
So welfare indicators are, you know, social capital creation, education, housing, health, you know, social performance, really. And this is critical. And what we've observed is very interesting, is that if you look at South Africa's performance and location, you know, amongst other countries, when it comes to economic competitiveness and political governance, we were doing very well back then.
Right.
And I think what I mean back then is I don't want your auditors, listeners to think that I'm saying, oh, we were very good back before, you know, liberation.
Right.
What I'm saying is that
this is up to 2006.
That's right. And we have other data that shows us that, in fact, the country bottomed up in around 1992, 1993.
Right.
And we have this tremendous miraculous turnaround, right?
Yeah.
And we regain a lot of the lost ground, and we transform the economy quite significantly. Not enough, but on the right path.
Yeah.
And then that gets arrested and reversed from about 2006.
It sounds to me like another way of saying what you have found is that post 2008 financial and economic crisis, South Africa has actually not fashioned responses to respond to that crisis and recovered. So what has happened is you had the 2008 financial crisis. Post that, it's almost as if the government just continued doing what it was doing, and in the process, of course, we know the economy didn't grow.
Yeah.
And
so one thing I want to say is that the titles of the stories is Zuma.
Yeah.
So I mean, clearly, the point you've made.
Zuma and Godard, because he was the finance minister. Anyway.
Well, the powers that be, right?
Yeah.
The ANC in power,
absolutely,
and their allies, and those who made the policies, those who changed the political system in 2007. So I think half of the story in around 2008 and 2009 is the economic crisis, right? But as you say, the country doesn't turn around.
Yeah, others recovered.
Others recovered, we didn't recover. We spent a tremendous amount of fiscal space and fiscal capital to try to do counter-cyclical policies, which kind of worked. I mean, the economy rebounded back in 2011, 2012. Sort of ish, and then went back down. And that went back down is clearly, in our analysis, attributable to domestic factors. Policy, politics, and now, only now we discover the true depths of the perversions of the institution of the state, right? And so here we talk about, I mean, really what we document is the fundamental importance of the integrity of the state and its institutions. And so it's, and we don't necessarily comment on policy quality or policy direction, although obviously it's clear that the policies that were adopted by Zuma, particularly in the second term, were catastrophic.
Absolutely. Which brings the question, so is what Cyril Ramaphosa is doing the right medicine to the economic decline that we saw post-2006, 2007 getting up to here?
That's really my favorite question. That's my favorite question. And I'm getting a bit of flack, because I've said, well, I honestly think, and this is now, me interpreting the situation and the data, I think that really Cyril Ramaphosa's project is the best project that we can realistically have. The problem with it, and this is the, yes, but, and the however.
Right and wrong.
The problem is that I think he doesn't have a free hand. The way Mandela and Mbeki had, at least during Mbeki's first term. The lesson of Polokwane is key here. The lesson of Polokwane is that if you go too much to the right, you are going to make a lot of people angry, and those people, you need them to stay in power within the ANC.
Absolutely.
And if you go too much to the left, then you end up with a kind of economic catastrophe and social catastrophe that we've had. So it tells us that South Africa has a very narrow band within which contesting political and economic requirements have to meet. And does Ramaphosa have enough political capital and enough economic capital to be able to do what he's trying to do? This is where I doubt that he is able to do it. I think that time for him to grow the economy and for that to benefit is going to take so many years that politically, the discontent will swamp him as the discontent, eventually
he may not have the time. And in part also what you're saying is that orthodoxy is not the easy answer that perhaps some people are making it out to be. A return to economic orthodoxy, in other words.
Well, politically, it's not feasible.
Absolutely, he won't be able to carry the base with him.
So how do you attract FDI, which we need because we don't have enough domestic savings, and we no longer have the fiscal space? How do you attract the FDI we absolutely need, while key policy issues, fundamental policy issues around property rights, land expropriation without compensation or not, are not resolved?
Absolutely.